It's finally time to work on the Forester. I haven't driven this thing in months, and probably for good reason. This thing has been pouring out oil like crazy due to a leaking oil separator plate, which is a pretty common failure on most Subarus in, I believe, early 90s to late 90s, maybe early 2000s. There's a plastic oil separator plate that cracks. The updated one's metal, so it won't. And I'll be covering that process. However, that entails a motor having to come out of the car. So while the motor's out, I'm going to be doing a couple little other things. The oil pan's got a pinhole leak in it, so that's going to get replaced as well. I've also got a random misfire on cylinders 1 and 2, which just, for some reason, I'll start the car sometimes and the cylinders will completely shut down. So I'm going to chase down that issue and see what might be causing that. I think it could be the ignition coil, could be the fuel injectors. I just did the valve adjustment probably maybe 8,000 miles ago. So the valves should probably be just fine. They're right in spec right after I adjusted them. And a couple little other things here and there. We're going to also be replacing the motor mounts and the trans mount. I think that might be it. I don't remember what else I have got planned for this, but I guess you'll come and see exactly what I got to do. Before I start, I forgot to mention it's got 215,000 miles on it, so this thing's got a lot of miles on it. I'm expecting a lot of rust, a lot of swearing that will have to be bleeped out, and a lot of other little hidden things that I hope I don't have to come across, but we'll find out. So let's start by doing what we have to do to get this motor out. We've already removed the hood to it because that gives you a lot more space to work on everything, and you can go ahead and store it right up there, especially if you don't really care about your paint. I don't. It was a $900 car. Next up, I'm going to be doing the obvious stuff, draining the oil, and going to be draining the coolant as well. Life is so much easier with those quick jacks. I got the air box out of the way, as you can see, which frees up a lot of space. A couple of big harnesses, oil's drained, coolant's going to be drained next. Getting all the little vacuum hoses and stuff out of it. So next I'm going to take the fuel lines out, and then pretty much everything on this side, like anything that's connected to the body in any way, gets disconnected. Some grounds here. I think a starter has to come out, I'm not fully sure, but I'll let you guys know. Batteries out. And then after that, snapped a bolt there. So I'm gonna have to, for this little bracket, gonna have to drill and tap and put something in there. Pull the radiator out after all that's, actually I'll probably pull the radiator before I get to this because it's giving me a lot more space. And then a couple little extra things and the motor's pretty much ready to come out. Forget what I have to do with the power steering. But all that stuff is, there's a power steering reservoir, some lines. I don't know if I can move it all out of the way if I just take the pulley out and a couple of bolts. But I'll show you that as well. Or if the whole thing's got to come out, the whole thing's got to come out. So we're finally at the point where we can remove the engine. Everything's been disconnected, unbolted, and unscrewed otherwise. So transmission's disconnected, motor mounts are done, exhaust headers are off. Everything else is completely ready to go. So now it's time to pull the motor. There we go. Motor's pretty much free. I could probably leave it right here and do everything I have to, but we're gonna bring it over somewhere where it's not in the way and maybe clean up this engine bay a little bit. It was a pain because the trans was really stuck on the block big time. These pins or these studs kind of suck. I don't know if they're mangled, but I'm just gonna run a thread chase on those and fix that up a little bit. Other than that, it wasn't really that hard to take this motor out. Just a couple little hiccups here and there. Big thanks to Uncle Nick. He helped out a lot. Stove. Stove hit him with that yee. And even my dad came by and helped out quite a bit as well. So that's going to do it for this part of the video. Part 2 will be up shortly. Part 2 is going to be taking everything apart, fixing that oil separator plate. So make sure you come back, subscribe, hit the like button, share it with a friend, and as always, keep it foul.